What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearless Nick YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my 2022 official AFL season predictions. So in today's video I'll be predicting the whole ladder from 18th to 1st. I'll be predicting my Brownlow medalists, Coleman medalists, Rising Star, premiers, and surprise All Australian. So footy's back, everyone's happy, I'm happy, all the footy fans are happy, AFL world is happy. Footy's back. I'm going to be uploading lots of content this season. Today, just remember, just my opinion, don't get upset if I have your team a bit low, but yeah, drop a like, drop a sub, and share with a friend, and subscribe if you're new. Hope you enjoy the video, and yeah, without any further ado, let's get stuck into it! So 18th position, Wooden Spooners in 2022. I'm going to put the Gold Coast Suns in last. Main reason, I feel like Stewie Dew isn't the man to take this club forward. I want to see Gold Coast succeed, and I mean that. I want to see Gold Coast succeed. I'm not one of those guys who wants them to fail. I want them to succeed, but I feel like Gold Coast, it's probably going to be another wasted season. Ben King's out for the year. They're going to need 100% effort from guys like Tug Miller, Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson, Jack Bukosius, Isaac Rankin. They're going to need a lot of effort from those boys. But yeah, I'll have Gold Coast last for me, just because I think Ben King, the loss of Ben King is going to really hurt them. And if he leaves Gold Coast at the end of the year, they're going to have to develop someone else. And since they've come into the league, I think the highest they've finished is 11th. But I have the Gold Coast Suns in winning the Wooden Spoon. In 17th position in 2022, I have, this could spark a bit of flair here. I've got the Hawthorn Hawks. I've got the Hawthorn Football Club in 17th. But for me, Hawthorn, I think they've got a good crop of players like Will Day, CJ. Josh Ward looked really good for Hawthorn. That game against Richmond, I just can't see them, even though they played very good footy at the end of last year, I just don't see them shooting up this year. And I feel like it could be a bit of a down year for Hawks fans. Apologies, Hawks fans, I know there are quite a few of you. But I think after this year, I think next year Hawthorn will start rising, but I think this year could be the year of development for Hawthorn, and I think it would probably be a bit silly to have them any higher than maybe 15th, I think. So I'm going to go the safe option. I'm going to say Hawthorn, in a way, bottle it this year. But I think they're going to be very strong in a couple of years. So, but Hawks fans, let me know where you think your team will finish. In 16th position in 2022, I have the Adelaide Crows in 16th position in 2022. I feel like Adelaide, my perspective on Adelaide is like already, like they're showing what they can do. I think last year they beat teams like Geelong, Melbourne. They beat Hawthorn, I think, as well. So I think Adelaide have serious upside, and I wouldn't be surprised if they could finish between 13th to probably 17th or last. I have them 16th. Just because I feel like they're going to do something similar to last year. They're going to start the year really strong, and then they're just going to fall away because, it's just what young sides do. I see this year as being massive upside for Adelaide over the Crows in 16th in 2022. In 15th position, rounding out the bottom four in 2022, I have last year's Wooden Spooners, the North Melbourne Football Club. The excitement around this team is very, very real, I reckon. They've got such a young list. They've got probably one of the youngest in the comp. They managed to beat teams like Hawthorn. That win against West Coast was just mind-blowing. They also they took it up to teams like Melbourne and the Cats. You know, Horn Francis coming in, I'll mention him later in the video. I don't really have anything negative to say about North Melbourne. I guess I think the main negative though for North last year was they just got scored against too easy. Their midfield just wasn't strong enough. I have North Melbourne in 15th in 2022. And in 14th position in 2022, I have the Collingwood Football Club. For me, Collingwood, I'm not sure what to make of Collingwood this year. Obviously, we all know last year they fell drastically. They finished 17th. This year, I see Collingwood shooting up. I think I know their stars are getting old. Like, I think Grundy's nearly, I don't know how old Grundy is, like 28 or something. It'll be Pendlebury's last year. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Nick Dacos can do, whether he can make an impact. For me, it's very hard to get a read on Collingwood this year. There's two ways this could go. They could either shoot up dramatically or they could just go even further than last year. If they can just work out an avenue to go, whether De Goey's the man or Nathan Kruger, if he can come in and make an impact at least and not get blown out of the water, that could be a surprise this year, Collingwood. But I have them in 14th. In 13th position in 2022, yes, it is the West Coast Eagles. I've got West Coast in 13th. I just feel like it's game over for West Coast. I think their list is just too old. Their game style, you've heard like 1,000 people say this, but their game plan is outdated. Yeah, they just need to hit the draft. West Coast, they've got to start hitting the draft. They've got to start getting rid of these old guys. You know, Kennedy, Hearn, Shuey, Nick Nat. Even though Darling's gone, he's old as well. They've got old legs, West Coast, and I feel like their premiership window has just shut. I think completely, and it's gonna stay locked until they unlock some young talent. I think Oscar Allen has a bright future, and I feel like he's gonna be a star. But yeah, West Coast, until they start getting some young guns, I feel like they need to do a Fremantle and get rid of some of the old. Still have a bit of experience there, but basically just do a Fremantle and just hit the draft a few years in a row and just get some great young talent. Yeah, they'll definitely be miles away from finals. Sorry, West Coast fans, but I have West Coast in 13th position in 2022. And in 12th spot in 2022, I've got the GWS Giants in 12th position. They're a team that I don't have an opinion on. The Giants, they're just one of those teams that you don't necessarily talk about as much, but they're just there. But feel like the loss of Toby Green for the first 5 weeks is going to really impact them to start the year. They could lose their first 5 games. It would not surprise me. The Giants for me last year were probably the most inconsistent side in the competition. They managed to beat Geelong in Geelong. They managed to beat the D's at the G. They beat Sydney twice as well, which I forgot to mention. But the Giants, for me, I think they're going to drop off this year. I have the Giants in 12th in 2022. And in 11th spot in 2022, 11th spot, this is where it starts getting really tight. And this is where it got really hard for me. In 11th spot in 2022, I have the Saints. I have the Saints in 11th in 2022. For me, it's a bit of hit and miss for the Saints. I think David King, or one of the boys on Fox Footy, put it best. They're a house of cards, the Saints. They got smashed like 4 times last year. They got smashed by Essendon, they got smashed by Richmond, they got smashed by the Bulldogs. But for me, St Kilda could either finish, I could see them finishing 7th or all the way down to 13th. It's all about a couple of players, and I feel like that could be their undoing. Because if guys like Marshall, Ryder and King get injuries, it's just going to, the house of cards is going to come coming down. Anywhere between 7th to 12th, maybe. I think 13th's a bit low, but for me, I have the Saints in 11th in 2022. In 10th spot in 2022, in 10th spot, I've got Richmond. Now, Richmond had a very, very confusing year last year. They look like they weren't quite right, and I think this year they're going to go up. I think, well, they finished 12th last year, so they're going to go up 2 spots in my opinion. I don't think they'll make finals, but I think they'll be around the mark. I feel like this year they'll shoot back up. They'll be in the 8 for a bit of the year and then fade away late. But if injuries stay out of the way, if they can get all their players fit, you never rule off Damien Hardwick's men. They've won three out of 3 flags in 4 years. So yeah, they could very easily, shoot back up. I have Richmond in 10th spot in 2022. In 2022, finishing 9th, I feel like this team is ever so close. I've got Fremantle in 9th. I was almost going to predict them to finish 8th, but I put the next team you'll see just above them, just because they got that little bit more experience. 7th, 6th, even 5th. Actually, 5th might be a bit high, but for me, I could easily see the Dockers making finals. If it's not this year, it's definitely next year. I feel like they're just, it's about finding the spark and the connection. And I think Justin Longmuir has got a really good game plan, like a really offensive game plan. If Nat Fyfe can have a big year, that could easily make Fremantle top 8 team. I feel like they might just miss out on percentage, but for me, they could easily finish top 8. And yeah, like I said, I was weighing up between them and the next team I've got in the top 8. But for me, Fremantle in 9th, just missing out in 2022. Alrighty, we move on to the top 8, ladies and gentlemen. I've got the Geelong Cats in 8th. I can't remember a year the Cats missed finals. I mean, one year, I think it was 2013 or something like that. The Cats, they do it every year. They get written off. I do like the Cats. I hope they don't drop off. I'm not really sick of them, considering they haven't been that Richmond and, won all these flags. They've been around the mark, but they haven't quite won the flag. But I feel like the Cats have got the team to do it. I mean, they've got Hawkins, Cameron up forward. They've got guys like Selwood, Dangerfield, Duncan, Guff, all in the midfield. They could easily, they are so damaging. They will not lose a game at GMHBA Stadium. They may lose one or two maybe. But see, that's how close it was, though. I think the Cats and the Dockers are so similar. I think either one of those two could pinch that 8th spot. But I feel like they'll be around that bottom sort of 4 of the 8 this year. But the Cats for me in 8th position in 2022. In 7th position in 2022, I've got the Sydney Swans in 7th. They had some really impressive wins last year. They beat Essendon twice. They beat the Bulldogs. They came very close to Melbourne. They beat the Cats. They had some really, really good wins. They were a little bit inconsistent, but because they're such a young team, you expect them to be that tad inconsistent. But I feel like I like what Sydney are doing. I really like it. They've got a great group of young players. Sydney, for me, they could finish anywhere. Like, I would not be surprised if they finish top 4. That's how talented their young team is already. And then, 4th to 8th, I reckon, is where Sydney will be this year. I've got them 7th. That could be a bit harsh. I was thinking about putting them a bit higher, but 7th for me, the Swans in 2022. In 6th position in 2022, I've got the Carlton Football Club. Bombshell, because Carlton finished 13th last year and struggled to beat teams like Collingwood, Gold Coast and North Melbourne last year. I think this is the year. Paddy Cripps looks ripped as. Adam Chera looks like an absolute beast. I can't wait to see him and Walsh playing together. Now, this team for me, I was skeptical. I was thinking about not putting them in the 8 at all, and I was thinking bottle it every year. They're expected, but they never do it. They never deliver on their promise. But Carlton, for me, they've got such a big gap of where they could finish. It's ridiculous. They could finish 6th is the highest, which is where I've got them, all the way down to 13th. But I have Carlton in 6th as the jumper in 2022. And in 5th position, got the Essendon Football Club. The Bombers looked amazing last year. You know, they had some really, really positive signs. They came from nowhere. People were expecting them to be bottom 4. But Essendon, for me, I can see it. I can see this year being the year where they break the finals drought. They will win a final this year, Essendon. I know they did just lose to St Kilda, but they've got the team to do it. I mean, such a young team, but also just so much upside. The only worry for me is I'm worried they might screw it up again and finish outside the top 8. But I hope that doesn't happen. But that's an old Essendon. This is the young, new Essendon. This is the Essendon of the future. This is a new era. I want the Bombers to succeed, and I think Bombers fans will be happy to hear that. I'm confident in the Bombers this year, but I've got the Bombers in 5th in 2022. I feel like they're going to jump up as well. Move on to the top 4 for 2022. And yeah, there's only 4 teams left. They're probably the 4 best teams in the competition. Got last year's runners-up, the Western Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, for me, last year, they defied all the odds and made the grand final and then got belted by Melbourne. For me, the Bulldogs got the best midfield, probably the best midfield in the comp, up there with Melbourne. Yeah, on their day, if they get the ball into the hands, I think Bontempelli is going to have an outstanding year. He's going to bounce back from not winning the Brownlow last year. But I feel like the Dogs, they won't get affected by that grand final loss. I think they'll learn from it. They did lose to Essendon in the practice match and they lost to the Lions. But both of those games were very, very close. And I feel like the Dogs aren't quite done with yet. And I have the Dogs finishing 4th. And in 3rd position in 2022, I've got Port Adelaide in 3rd in 2022. Port Adelaide for me were very, very disappointing on that prelim final. You know, Port Adelaide on their day have one of the most talented lists in the comp. They finished 2nd last year. I think that was a bit high. I think that was a bit high. I don't think they're quite that team to finish top 2. I don't think they'll finish top 2 again. They'll be top 4 for sure, but I feel like they've got the team. They've got Alir down back, Dixon up forward. They've added Jeremy Finlayson. I think they will go deep in finals again. They'll do enough to secure a double chance in 2022. I've got the Power finishing 3rd. In 2nd position, I've got the Melbourne Demons in 2nd position. What can you say about the D's? They're arguably the best team. They're probably the best team in the comp currently. They did just lose to Carlton in the Amy Community Series match, but before that they belted North Melbourne by 88 points. Yeah, I feel like they'll deliver again. They always deliver, Melbourne. You know, I think they're in a window now, Melbourne, where they've unlocked their potential. Melbourne MCG is going to be an absolute fortress, and yeah, I feel like the D's will be very, very good again. The D's, for me, I see the D's as an absolute force this year again. I don't see them dropping off. I don't see them doing a 2019. Arguably the best team in the comp, and yeah, I've got the D's 2nd. Well, that only leaves one team. The Brisbane Lions are your minor premiers in 2022. I feel like, I don't know what it is about Brisbane, but I feel like this is the year that they show what they're about. They go that next step. They win the minor premiers. They become the minor premiers. They host home finals. And I think the Gabba is going to be absolutely rocking this year. It's going to be a bit hard without Hipwood, but You know, if Joe Danaher can get behind, Daniel McStay looked really good. And then their smalls, what can you say? Charlie Cameron is amazing. They've got it all. Brisbane, they could easily contend with Melbourne and the Bulldogs and Port Adelaide. But the Lions for me on their day are so deadly, and for me, I've got the Lions as the minor premiers in 2022. But now we move on to the awards. Brownlow medal in 2022. I have Marcus Bontempelli. I think if the Dogs are in the top 4, I think the Bont is going to tear it up. The Bont has to win the Brownlow if the Dogs make top 4. He's easily won the Brownlow. He only just missed out last year, Marcus Bontempelli, and I think he deserves one. I think he's going to get one. If it's not this year, he'll win one down the track. Marcus Bontempelli as the 2022 Brownlow medalist. As for the Coleman medal, Max King, I reckon, will win the Coleman medal this year. Max King is very, very hard to stop. He's got great hands. His kicking is unbelievable. He looked really, really damaging against Essendon. I think he kicked 3 or 4 goals. So Max King I've got as the Coleman medalist in 2022. Rising star for 2022. I did say I'd mention him later. It's Jason Horne-Francis. I think if North Melbourne go up this year, Jason Horne-Francis is pretty much locked in for round 1. Jason Horne-Francis for me, like I said in my predicting top 10 of the draft this year, he's definitely going to be a star, and I could even see him being a future captain of North Melbourne, like I said in the draft video. Jason Horne-Francis for me is the 2022 NAB Rising Star. My surprise All-Australian, this was a really tough one. I was originally going to go with Harrison Jones from Essendon, but since then I've changed my mind, and my surprise All-Australian in 2022, playing for his new club this year, Jordan Clark from Fremantle, I reckon, will rate the All-Australian this year. You know, he was out of favour at the Cats. He couldn't really quite get a game, but I feel at Fremantle, I'm a big fan of Jordan Clark. I really like what he does. I feel like he's going to add a lot to Fremantle. So I have Jordan Clark as my surprise All-Australian in 2022 from the Fremantle Dockers. So there we go, guys. That is my season predictions for the 2022 AFL season coming up. Comment down below your predictions as well. Just remember, this is just my opinion, so don't get salty or upset if I have your team a bit low or where you don't think they will be. But yeah, comment down below, like, share, subscribe, share with a mate. Comment down below your predictions. Yeah, footy's back, everyone's happy, I'm happy. Yeah, drop a like, drop a sub, yeah, join the army, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!